Hello, welcome to Nate Netflix. I am Nate, you are you, and Michael Myers is the Shape, aka the Boogeyman, aka the granddaddy of slashers as we know them, and that is why he is up first in this new series I'm doing here on the Nate Netflix channel, where I will look at some of the most beloved franchises in horror history and give you the 10 best kills from that franchise. So, if you enjoy this video, of course go ahead and subscribe, that way you can get more of this content, but also go ahead and drop a comment down below so that I know which icons you guys want to see next, and then we can go and get those videos out there. But without further ado, let's go ahead and look at the 10 best Michael Myers kills. Here you go. These are, as I see it, the best Halloween kills. Our first entry on the list comes compliments of Halloween 2. It is Michael stabbing the nurse in the back with the scalpel and slowly raising her off the air as her feet twitch and her kind of like clogs or nurse shoes, whatever you want to call them, they come off of her feet. I love the way the scene is shot. I love the way Michael is framed by the hallway. You instantly feel transported into Laurie Strode's shoes as she takes in this haunting spectacle, and it's just one of the most iconic early scenes in the franchise. For number 9, we're going back to the opening moments of Halloween 4. This is what we are going to call the old thumb in the forehead trick. I think this cements in the opening moments of the film that Michael Myers is now, without a doubt, a supernatural force. We've always had dialogue and such that would suggest as much, but now it's undeniable. No mere man is just going to be able to take his thumb and ram it in with that kind of ease right through a man's skull, right through his frontal cortex, and cause instant death. It is a tone setter for the film. It's intense, it's scary, but it was also such a cheap effect, but man does it pack a punch. Number 8 is Annie Brackett's death, but I'm talking the Annie Brackett death from Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Now, a lot of people hate this film. I can understand a lot of their gripes. It's a very different type of Halloween film, but I think one of the best differences, one of the key differences, is that Rob Zombie took the time to evaluate trauma and what it would be like in the wake of a killing spree. We get Annie Brackett's father reacting to finding her corpse, but also just the actual murder itself. I love the way that the scene is kind of shuttered and slowed down. I love the soundscape. It's a very poignant scene. It's emotional, it's raw, and it treats the subject with respect. It feels like she's a human being and not just the regular run-of-the-mill lamb of the slaughter that we so often get in slasher films. Number 7 gives us our second kill from Halloween 4, and this time it is Brady. Now, Brady is a guy, he thinks he's one thing, but he's kind of the other. He thinks he's a down-to-earth good guy, but he's really kind of a dog. The sheriff asks him if he knows how to use a gun, and he's like, I'm a man, of course I can use a gun. And then in this kill, we find out Brady's not so good with guns, especially under pressure. But hey, he tries. This is kind of a redemption scene for Brady, even though he does fail, and man, is his demise one to be remembered. The actor actually improvised spitting the blood out, which I think is ingenious because it seems like an act of defiance and retaliation against Michael Myers. It makes the scene really kind of pop and stay with you a little bit longer. And then of course, the sound effects team hit it out of the park with the way they captured his skull or neck popping there. It's nasty, but it's great. For number 6, we are going back to Halloween 2 for the hot tub kill or kills. That's right, this is a bit of a BOGO. First up, Bud gets offed, which is good because while he's kind of a lovable sleazeball, he is a slasher character that you do kind of want to see get their comeuppance. Just something about that personality lends itself to that type of scene. And then of course, Michael goes over to the hot tub, and the nurse, she's none the wiser. She thinks it's still Bud, and she starts a romance on Michael Myers, which I guess good for him because he's usually kind of relegated to just being a peeping Tom. And then she gets dunked into boiling hot water. It's scary because Michael doesn't so much as flinch. It's like he can't even feel the water, while we slowly see her face just completely get boiled over. It's an instantly memorable scene, if not for 2 very large reasons. Number 5 comes from Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, chronologically the 6th film, and it is The Stepfather. I mentioned in the past spot on the list that there are certain slasher characters that right away you're like, oh, this person's death needs to be gratifying. And that is absolutely the stepfather in The Curse of Michael Myers. I mean, the actor does a good job making you hate this character because he comes off as the penultimate douchebag, a total asshole, and you can't wait to see Michael Myers off this guy. And he does it in spectacular fashion, turning this clown's head into a veritable firework. At number 4, we're going back to Halloween 1978, the one that started it all for the very first kill in the franchise. This is an iconic scene. This may be one of the best slasher kills of all time, not just in Halloween. It had to be so startling the first time an audience saw this, just the way the scene is set up. You kind of think there's a peeping Tom, there's a burglar, or somebody breaking into this home and killing this young girl, only to find out that it is an innocent looking young suburban boy. And it just kind of sets up that Michael Myers is this kind of corrupted spirit, this inhuman killer, that he does not feel the way you and I feel. Everything about the direction of the scene is just so spectacular. Of course I had to put it on this list. Number 3 is the bathroom scene from Halloween 2018. I've talked a few times already about setting the tone for a film, and this absolutely does that. It shows us after 40 years of sitting there in Smith Grove, stewing in his own anger and vitriol and bloodlust, that Michael Myers has marinated and become an even stronger, more potent killer. This is not Michael Myers from 1978. This is one made for a modern audience, and he is going to be brutal. This movie is going to be terrifying and scary, and that as an audience, you need to be ready for some visceral stuff to go down. This is a somewhat emotional scene because you have a man taking in at least his partner, but I think his girlfriend, being murdered. Michael dropping the teeth is just unsettling. So much about this is just terrifying, but also the fact that it calls back to H2O and that bathroom scene, a scene that was tense, but ultimately nothing happens, and it shows you that no, this movie has stakes, this has consequences, stuff will be happening. Our runner-up, our number 2 slot, is again going to a kill from Halloween 4. Halloween 4 representing. And it's because this kill seems so unlike the others in that movie, and just so often the franchise, it comes out of freaking nowhere. Michael reaches through the window and just rips out this redneck guy's throat. You feel like Rachel in the passenger seat. You're like, what the hell is happening? Ugh. It's so well done. The effects team nailed it. It really looks like his carotid, jugular, whatever. I don't know my anatomy like that. It looks like it's being ripped out of his neck. It's gory in the best way. It's so sudden. It's so scary. And I've just always loved this kill. And number 1, have you guessed it? You probably guessed it. You'd probably be furious. You'd probably have a comment typed for me if this didn't appear on the list. It is, of course, number 1 though, and it's Bob from Halloween 1978. I mean, I've dropped the word iconic a lot throughout this list. This to me is the most iconic. I feel like this really informed a lot about the Michael Myers character, and we get a lot of callbacks to this scene throughout the franchise. As Michael kind of sits there and admires his handiwork, he looks at Bob pinned to the wall with the knife, and he gives us our first ever head tilt. And like I said, we see that again throughout the franchise, but we'll also see it homaged over and over in countless other horror films. To me, this is the most memorable, impactful scene and the most memorable and important movie in the entire franchise, and so of course it's my number 1. But how do you guys feel? Do you agree with this list? Is there a kill I left off that you would have liked to have seen? What is your favorite Halloween kill? Be sure to comment below, and like I said, comment which horror villain you'd like to see get this treatment next. Other than that, I hope you have a fantastic day. I am Nate for Nightmare Flick saying that's a wrap.